Hey, it's Tuesday, and we've been gone for a couple weeks. I was actually in Puerto Rico last week, and we actually did the Phoenix RIA for those of you that jumped on. And then the week before, we had some conflicts of schedule, and now we're back.
We're back, baby.
Today we kind of thought, obviously it's been a changing market. Interest rates, especially on investment stuff, I mean, is in that eight number. Like it's eight.
Oh yeah.
So, and I kind of put some posts out on Phoenix RIA, got some feedback that like, yeah, the interest rates are low. Um, it's kind of funny though. I don't know if you saw my post, but interestingly enough, um, as of 2 weeks into August, our numbers were down from, they were 6% less than they actually were in 2022.
Oh wow.
Transactions closed and transactions pending were down 5.4%. So, um, you know, 2022, the sky was falling. Everybody still feels pretty good because our inventory is still staying at like in the 11,000s. Now it used to be like 11,200. It's up around 11,700. So we've seen a 500 increase in inventory, but
It's a little bump there.
it wasn't like that reporting in 2022 where we were saying, "Oh, it's been a week and it's gone up 1,000."
Oh yeah. Where's 35,000?
Huh?
It was like 35,000.
Yeah, it was definitely moving up. Actually, it got to like a peak of like 18, 19,000. So
Right.
we're still bouncing around like 11. So which is obviously a super low number, but it's completely different talking about deals with
Oh yeah.
your takeout financing is like, hey, it actually, as a matter of fact, I got a triplex across my desk today. And if you were to comp it, you'd say it's probably worth, it's out in AJ, it's probably worth what, 175, 200 a door. Like
Yeah, yeah.
if you're using comps, but I just ran it came from a PPC lead from us, but I just ran the comps. You know what? $500,000 at 8% on a 30-year fixed is.
It's not pretty. It's hold on. It's got to be around 3,500, 3,800.
$100. That's without taxes and insurance.
I know.
So, and my acquisition manager said, "Hey, the three rents are like 750, but can probably be bumped to 1,000, right?" But even if you bump them to 1,000, that's $3,000 a month, and that triplex, which if you were to use old comps, would say it's probably worth 600, but you can't. It doesn't even.
Not going to cash flow.
That doesn't going to cash flow, and we all know that you don't want to buy deals that don't cash flow.
It's very true. It's very true. So this is where it gets fun, is because Chris and I are going to go back and forth a little bit on what we believe about buying right now. Because I mean, I know you're in the same boat as me, Chris, but I have a lot of people reaching out right now just saying like, hey, I've got a rental property opportunity. What are your thoughts? Like, I know interest rates are super high. I don't really know if I want to do it. Like, what are you doing? So it'll be fun here. So yes, I mean, I'm going to just become completely just super honest with what I'm doing right now, in the sense of, I'm going for it. But the thing is, though, is that I'm being very careful, right, and making sure that if we are going to jump on something that's going to be a long-term hold, exactly what you just said, it still at least has to cash flow a little bit. Like, right. You're never going to buy a property that is going to negatively cash flow. That's just not obviously a good idea. But at the same time, this is a conversation I've had with many friends in the past, is that when you've got, one person looking at something that, let's just say, you're not going to purchase anything until interest rates come down, right? Say interest rates, like you said, on investment properties are 8%, and I just closed on one at 9%. All right, so I literally just closed on one at 9%. So I mean, let's just say even up to 9%. Well, how I'm viewing things is that, again, as long as it's still cash flowing positively, if I can buy something that I know is a deal, I will still do it.
Now let's talk about that 9% one. Like, yeah. Is it? I mean, I know you buy super discounted properties. Is it
Yeah.
Like you're just a bunch of equity in it, so your principal amount was super low?
It wasn't that the principal amount was super low, but it's more so the fact that I'm going to be able to burr it and I'm going to be into it, no money out of pocket.
Okay.
And so that's the biggest reason. So I'll just give an example of one. One of them is a property. It's downtown Chandler. You're actually the lender on it, Chris.
Get that 12% money out.
Yeah, you're the hard money lender on it. So, but no, so it's a single family and it's downtown Chandler. If you're familiar with downtown Chandler, there's a lot of like weird stuff that happens all the time, in the sense of like weird buildings and whatnot. So there was another building that was there it was basically just a carport. They added on like 2 or 3 additions out the back. We just completely renovated both units, and we have. And we've got tenants in one of them, and I've got tenants moving into the next one, probably in the next week and a half. So the numbers on this: purchased it for $250,000. Renovation was $100,000 on it. It was literally 102,000. So it was nearly on the dot. So I'm going to be all into it, $350,000. And so realistically, the appraisal is happening next week. So appraisal's next week, but I truly believe that this will appraise for, somewhere in that ballpark of like 450 to maybe 470, because it's now 2 houses. Even though on tax records it's only 1 house with some type of little addition on the carport. Yeah. But I mean, what comes down to for me, I have 1 house rented out for $2,200 and I have the other house rented out for $2,000. So that property is bringing in $4,200 a month. And when I refi on it, my payment is going to be, like I said, I'm probably going to keep that payment somewhere in that ballpark of that like 350, right around there. And so with the payment at 350, my payment on it is, what is it? I think it's like 2,400. I think it's right around 2,300, 2,400. I think that's even with taxes though. So 2,400. And so it's it's bringing in 42. So I mean, after everything, I mean, it's going to be somewhere in that ballpark of cash flowing about $1,600. And that's not normal though, because obviously that's not a normal property in the sense of being able to have 2 rental properties on one property. So that one is a little unique, but that's the thing though, is that you can look for unique stuff like that. Like they come across blasts. You have stuff like that come across blasts all the time. And the thing is most people are scared to do anything with it. Most of the time someone's like, I don't know, that looks too crazy to me. I don't want to touch that.
Yeah. So properties that could have 2 units on them, for instance, like that get double the rent, but not a typical like the triplex that I got submitted today on PPC was just like, you can't buy it. Like, at 3,000 rent, I can't even come close. As a matter of fact, if I were to do it and eat the taxes and insurance, that's right. Taxes and insurance, and I upped the rents to 3,000, and that was the payment, and I had an 8% interest rate. Do you think I'd even get 8% right now? I mean, you're actively doing guys, right? So what would you on an investment property? What am I going to get?
I was just at 9.
Okay.
I was just at 9, but keep in mind too, though, that is also a DSCR loan.
Okay.
So that's another thing that you guys have to realize too, is that when you're doing a DSCR loan or a bank statement loan, kind of what I've always been told from like word of mouth or from rule of thumb is that you're going to be looking at an extra 1.5% to 2% to do those.
Okay. So on that DSCR loan, it would be the camera's over here. Okay. That's the loan amount on that triplex, but you could say it comps for 600. So I'd have to buy it at 372. So if I was doing the comp at 600, and that's the old comp, that'd be 62% on what
Yeah. No, for sure. I exactly. The toughest thing with that one, like you said, is what the rents are. They said that. I mean, I haven't.
Yeah, they're at 750 now, and they can go to 1,000.
Right, exactly. So that's the tough thing is, okay, not tough, but like when you start looking at them, okay, how much do you have to put into each one of them to get them to that point? Can you push that though? You know what I mean? That's just one of those things you can look at where it's like maybe you actually pull some rent rates on it, and you can get 1,200 or 1,300 or whatever that number ends up being per unit. I'm not too sure about that one. So
yeah, when we comped it at, go into it 750, go into 1,000. Did it make sense? And
Yeah.
you know, my offer is like, well, we got to be sub 4, and then
Yeah.
we can talk about it. But
Right.
that's what's crazy about the current market, and and doing deals now. Back to buying. I still have friends out there buying in Indiana and some of those
Yeah.
other markets where you've done some deals, right?
We've done Louisville, but not Indiana.
Yeah,
But same market for the most part.
Yeah, where you're buying houses at
40 grand.
40 grand. What were your typical rehabs on some of those?
We never did any fix and flip there. We only wholesaled. And the reason being is because obviously, doing virtual flipping is tough. There's a lot of things that can pop up with that. So
yeah, well, flipping's tough, and it's a cash flow, issue altogether. But then managing contractors is obviously difficult.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But so my main thing though, what I was saying is when you look at it, how I view things is that if I've got a property, and again, let's all be honest, a lot of people that are on here, you're in the real estate investment world, you're in the realm, so you get deals sent to you, you're on blast that you can check on regularly. So if you have access to deals and you start really knowing areas, I don't think it's smart to turn down. I mean, if you've got the funds and the pieces in place to make it happen, I would not recommend turning them down just because of high interest rates. Because again, keep in mind, there's a good chance sometime in the next 3 to 5 years, right, that interest rates are going to drop back down. Investment wise, we're all hoping that they get back down to the low 5s or something like that. Which, I mean, I'd say there has to be a good shot of that happening within the next 3 to 5 years, right? And it better. But I mean, if they do though, then it's like, okay, you bought that good deal 5 years ago, and you built up your equity, right? You just made that principal payment. It just kept paying off and kept paying off, kept paying off. You got some tax benefits from it. And now you're going to go ahead and refinance. And maybe when that payment is, like I said on mine, that payment's $2,300. Well, 5 years from now, let's say that I've paid it down to, $330, $320, and now I'm going to be able to get a 5% on it. So, I mean, just like that, you're going to be able to get maybe another $500 back every single month, not to mention that rental rates are probably going up, right? On average, they go up every single year by 3%. So you're getting appreciation, you're getting rent, you're getting higher rents. And the biggest thing is, if you continue doing that all the way along, like all the way through those 5 years with other properties, you're going to have that other person. And again, I have friends that have done this. You've got those friends that are like, I'm going to sit on the sidelines until interest rates go back to 5. Okay, well, guess what else happens when that happens?
The
prices go up. Prices go up. So you're finding deals right now. You can still get deals. I know the inventory is low, but you also have a lot of flippers that are standing on the sidelines saying, I don't want to touch anything right now. So when that's happening, it's I think there's far too many people that are just completely dipping out of the market saying, I'm not going to buy rental properties anymore. And so we're taking advantage right now. And yes, we're not cash flowing as much, but we've been able to walk into some amazing equity on properties over the last 6 months. And that's just something that we continue planning on doing. I mean, I have no problem saying that, I feel comfortable buying a house, putting it, use a DSCR loan. When you use a DSCR or a bank statement loan, you don't have to put that, it doesn't have to go through Fannie Freddie, right? So as long as that deal makes sense, they're going to underwrite that and they're going to say, does this specific asset, they'll view it as a business, and they'll say, does this make sense? And if it makes sense, if you can give them the lease agreement stating that you've got it rented for more than what your mortgage payment is, guess what? There's a really good chance they're going to give you a loan on it. And if they do, again, as long as you're buying good deals, another one, I purchased one yesterday, Chris, in Prescott. You guys are doing the hard money loan on that one too. That's what I called you about yesterday. I talked to Tim though, but I'm doing a 1031 exchange. So I'm putting $100,000 from the sale of this other property, putting $100,000 down on it. Bought it for $215,000. So I'm going to have a loan of $115,000. I'm going to do $100K rehab on it. I'm going to try to stick to 85, but I'm going to do 100 just to be safe. So it'll be $100,000. So it'll be $215,000 will be the loan on it when it's all said and done. I'll be into it $315,000, but it'll appraise for probably $400,000 to $425,000.
Yeah.
And again, like these are just deals. These are deals that, again, that they're out there. This was on the market. I bought this house on the market. Something like
straight off MLS.
Straight off MLS. Straight off MLS. He was asking 250. I lowballed him. I offered 200. He said no, can't do 200. He said lowest I can do is 235. I said it's really rough. I'll do 225. I have commissions built in. I'll do 225 with commissions. So I'm buying for 217. And I said this is my final. I'm looking at a couple other properties, and if you want me to take this one, it needs to be right now. And he got back to me and said take it.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, but the thing is that it's one of those projects where most people don't want to touch it because it needs a lot of work. It's a 600 square foot house, zone multifamily, and it needs, and like I said, I'm probably going to put 85 to 100 grand into 600 square feet. That's going to be sick. It's going to be insane. We're going to do an Airbnb with it, and it's going to have a theme and all that, and it's going to be really cool. So I think it can crush it. But again, like those are deals that are out there, and this deal still makes complete sense if I'm not throwing 100 grand down from a 1031 exchange. Yeah. Take that 1031 out, and you're still at that, like I said, that 315 all in. It's going to appraise for 425. Again, you're no money out of pocket when you're refinancing.
Yeah, so you're really buying it for 215, worth 425. You just got to put the 100 grand in.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and just a little tidbit, this fall is buying time, like in my opinion, because even with the interest rates, if they stay the same way going into January, you still have the people that want to move in January, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So the cycle is just, it's the same cycle as last year. Buyers don't really buy in late August and September. It's just the rule. I mean, unless you got like a 55 and older or a Gold Canyon or something like that, where you have people coming in that are snowbirds that are buying.
Right.
The typical buyer doesn't buy until spring and into kind of July, and then everybody settles down. Kids are going back to school, and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Chris,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Someone asked if you can give a DSCR loan. I don't believe you do that type.
I just do hard money loans.
For sure. Yep.
You can refer your DSCR person out there if you want.
Heck yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've got a guy here in Arizona that does DSCR. So if that's something that you're interested, I can definitely send you his information.
Yeah, those are great loans because it's like almost like a hard money, but
yeah.
They're only looking at the asset. They're not looking at your entire bank statement and everything.
Yeah. And you can typically, they're not asking for they're not asking for W-2s. They're not asking for that kind of information. And so like we said, it's strictly they're viewing each property as a business, and does this business cash flow? Like that's basically how they look at it. And can you leave? Because obviously they still want their 20 to 25% down. Sometimes even 30%. They want you to keep that equity in it. So that's where, you gotta, if you can't find that, that's what I've been saying lately. If you can't find that extra equity to buy a property, build it. And I mean, that's what we're doing. We're creating that equity.
Yeah. I mean, obviously building creates a lot of equity.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the time, just to be honest, I'm a wholesaler. Don't knock my prices down, but I mean, this is the time when you can get wholesalers to dip, or you can get sellers like you did on an MLS deal. You can get sellers to renegotiate because they may not get another offer coming around the corner anytime soon. So, how long was that one on the market that you bought?
It was on the market for 160 days. So it was on for, 5.5 months, but they made a huge mistake. They listed it at 400 grand.
Oh, okay.
So they listed it at 400 grand because I mean it's a block from downtown. It is a block. So I mean, like I get it. Like there's a lot of upside because of that, but at the same time they were trying to push it, push it on unrealistic numbers. And so by them doing that, it ultimately made it sit for a lot longer than it ever should have, and it made us able to come in and snag it.
And if you wouldn't have bought it, they might have waited another 60 to 90 days.
Right. No, so I mean, so they had dropped it a total of 150 grand in that 160 days. So they were dropping it a grand a day.
Well, and for pricing, that's it's never if you're pricing in a slow market like we are, it's generally better to get some activity first, in my opinion, than then shoot for the moon and drop. Because,
Right.
buyers start to see, oh, it's been on for 30 days, 45 days, all that stuff. And then they tend to come in and lowball even more.
Right. No, for sure. I hear you. And then, so we got another question. So can you just refinance your 100,000 out? Then you would own the cash flowing property, no money in, and still own control the property. Yes, exactly. So again, so just for simple numbers, and then I don't even need to say simple numbers. These are the numbers. Buying at 215. Realistically, I'm assuming we'll put 85 into it. I'm doing 100 because there's a chance I might do some really cool landscape. We'll see. So 85 into it, buying it for 215, all in, let's say 300 grand, right? So again, so is it Bopley? So Bopley, so 300 in. As long as I can get an appraisal showing that this property is worth 400 grand, if I can get appraisal saying yes, we believe this property is worth 400 grand, I take out a DSCR loan, which is debt service coverage ratio. So, and they're going to view this property and they're going to say, wow, okay, we got the appraisal at 400 grand. We want a 75% loan to value on this property. What's 75% of 400? It's 300 grand. So that's exactly what we're into the property. So then they're going to say, boom, here you go. Here's a loan for 300 grand. It's worth 400. It's cash flowing. We feel comfortable with this. So again, I'm all in 300. So now that loan covers every dollar that I would have put into it, which for me, it's just giving Chris his money back. So here you go, Chris. Here's your 100 grand, your 85 grand, rehab that I borrowed from you. And here's your other, 115 grand that I borrowed from you to take the property down. So Chris gets he gets his 200 back, right? And then I get my 100 from putting it down. And then there's a loan on 300. And like you said, that's a cash flowing property, no money in, and I completely own the property.
There you go.
So that's how my business partner Jake and I have created the majority of our wealth, has been through BRRRRs and through 1031 exchanges and through just buying good deals and making sure that you're creating that extra value. Because again, there's times where obviously everyone says that the money is made on the buy. Obviously, that's where you can get the best money, the best deals. But you can also, if you've got some good design, if you've got some good rehabs, you can make some money by doing that, by doing some really cool rehabs too. And so that's where we've made the majority of our money.
Now I've been out there. I think I've been on 120 creative finance calls in the last.
I'm sure. Yeah, you've been pushing those. You've been doing good with them though.
I've been doing so. I've gotten 2 in Texas, and I'm under 3 on both mortgages. So both of those are cash flowing. I actually got one that I got 139 at 275, and I got to give them 50. But it's next to an Air Force base where the pilots get $3,000 a month in credit.
Oh, cool! There you go.
So
that's awesome.
I'll be out of pocket with closing costs, 55 grand, and the payment, taxes, interest, and everything is 1,200. So it'll cash flow $1,800 a month.
Woo!
But I'll have 55 in it, but it'll come back at like $20,000 a year. So cash on cash is probably over 50.
Yeah, that's insane. So yeah, you'll get your full amount back within 3 years.
Yeah, a little under 2. So it
should be 2 years. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So if you're out there doing any creative finance deals, shoot them to Luke and I, because we like cash flowing properties. And
we just sold one to you guys.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that one in Mesa. You guys bought that one from us.
Oh, perfect. Well, we're buying more. I mean, I've gotten 2 in Texas now, and both of them, between the 2 in Texas, I'm going to be total out of pocket $90,000, but my cash on cash, I'm getting $3,000 a month in net rent.
Okay.
$36,000 a year on my $90,000.
There we go. Yeah, that's amazing.
So
another question here. What if the equity of the home is at 100 how should we set up a creative finance deal? Chris, that's gonna be more of a question for you.
Well, if the equity zone is 100, I mean, you basically can just give them walking money, and then you're gonna want their interest rate to be attractive, like 3.5%. But you can still, typically your penalty box buyer will pay a little bit more than 100% just to get in the deal.
Right.
So let's call it worth 220 or 200. You might be able to get 215 for that, just because you're offering financing to somebody that can't get financing. And with the going rates for owner occupied at 7.5, I've been selling mine at 8.5.
Okay.
So it's giving people,
and
it's actually better than your DSCR loan price. And then
exactly.
On that particular instance, I would offer, if it's worth 200, I'd offer it for 215. They'll probably buy it. And I would just take 15 down, and then wrap the interest rate difference. If you have it at 3 and you're getting it at 8.5, you got a 5.5 on 200 grand. It's $11,000 a year.
Right. And Chris, you haven't been having any issues finding people that'll pay 8.5%, right?
Nobody. I mean, I put one on the market and it's sold in a day.
Because the thing is that, exactly what you just said, that's pretty damn close to what people are paying for just a regular interest rate right now. So it's like, why not? And so, I mean, so Chris, you would say the best way to go around that would be to wrap it.
Yeah. Just take the deal subject to, sell it to the penalty box buyer. I mean, I wouldn't suggest taking more down than what the subject to, or you could pay principal down, but I just like to match them up. So, I take my 15 grand down. I usually ask for 10%, but in that particular instance, I would take, I just take 15 grand down. I'd match up the mortgages and buy it subject to, and sell it on an agreement for sale. Remember, on agreement for sale, it doesn't go from me to the end buyer until they pay me off.
Right. Facebook user said, are those sub 2?
Yeah, so it'd be sub 2 on the acquisition, and then it would be agreement for sale on the back end. And I'm out there. I got one in California that is sitting on my. I mean, it's. Look at this little pretty guy right here in California. Oops, it's always over here. Oops, right there. It's worth about.
Let's see that again.
50. It's in California.
Oh,
it's in Murata, California.
Your brick wall is
yeah, it's
stealing it. I'll put it in front of your face.
There
we go. Yeah, now you can see it. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's in Murata, California.
Nice.
I mean, it's probably worth $550. They want $550, but it's 2.75 fixed. The HOA is $140. Yeah, so they want actually $560. I think it's $50. But I mean, if you can find your penalty box buyer on this one at 8%, you'd be making, a 5% spread on 500 grand.
Right.
That's $25,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. That's not too bad.
And remember, on this one, they're asking for actually a $60,000 entry fee. If I sell it to someone for $550, I'm going to ask 10% down, and their current mortgage is $512. So I'd be zero money out of pocket.
Yeah,
and I'd be making $2,000 a month.
There we go. That's where those get fun, huh?
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love it. So I guess to finish it off, what we'd say is yes, we would continue buying.
If the deal cash flows, we'll buy.
If the deal makes sense, we are still buying. So again, for all those people that have asked this, and that's why we hopped on to talk about this today. Yes, keep buying, guys. Make sure you're getting deals, obviously. But again, because you don't want to be that person, I'm telling you, you don't want to be that person that is sitting here at, let's just say you're in your 30s, right? Like myself. So in your 30s, and you've got one friend who says, yeah, I don't think we should buy anything. I think it's a bad idea. And they don't buy anything for the next 5 years. And then in 5 years, the prices are up, and then they're still trying to decide if they want to buy anything. If you just continued buying good deals, You didn't have to come out of pocket a ton on any of them. Maybe you have to come out of pocket a ton on a little bit on some of them. But if you're able to add even 3 deals a year, even 1 deal a year, you add 1 deal a year and you do that for 5 years, you have 5 extra houses that are cash flowing, that as soon as the interest rates are down, you're going to be able to get even more cash flow. And not only that, but you're also going to have all that built-in equity that you just sat on for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Facebook user, I don't think it's a good time to buy. That, you don't have to. You don't have to.
It only makes sense.
Personal preference.
Yeah, it only makes sense if it cash flows. So
for sure.
And it's a good time to buy. I think it's a good time. If you remember, the fall is always a good time to buy going into January, because generally the market always picks up after football's over.
Right, exactly.
So anyways, guys, thanks for jumping on. We'll be back next Tuesday as always. Ooh, next Tuesday, is that the day after the day after Labor Day? Are you here the day after Labor Day?
I'll be here. I just might be a little hungover, but I'll be here.
Okay, so we'll be back on the day after Labor Day. If you have any suggestions,
that call is going to be 5 minutes. Chris and I are going to have IVs on us. No, just kidding.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping on, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely.